Well, welcome, and thank you for listening in. This is, of course, the Zaius Report, podcast number 2 of the Zaius Report, with me, Warren. Hi. Talking basically cult movies, B-grade movies. If you listen to podcast number 1, then you'll have a good idea about, well, what this show is all about. Basically talking cult and B-grade movies. If it's got a ghost in it, we'll talk about it. If it's got a vampire, we'll talk about it. Aliens, giant squids, you name it, we'll talk about it. If it's got a zombie in it, we'll talk about it. If it's got a giant shark in it, we'll talk about it. Even better, if it's got a zombie shark in it, we'll definitely talk about it. So, thanks for listening in. And I've got some great movies to talk about this week on this podcast. But before I get started, I suppose I should just do some thank yous and shout-outs. Housekeeping, I suppose, as they say. And as always, of course, want to thank the wonderful Alana Evans for the theme music. You, of course, can follow her on Twitter. I'll put all the links up when I post this on Twitter. But please follow her. You can, of course, get her music off iTunes if you happen to like that theme. If you want to check out her movies, definitely do that. But if you're big into gaming, she does some fantastic gaming videos, which are very funny and very entertaining. Video gaming, I'm referring to. So, check those out. She has all the links on her Twitter page. So please, give her a follow. Of course, special shout out to some absolutely great friends, the Only Funny to Us team at OFTU podcast. Ben, Cliff, TJ, and Steve. Still loving those wieners, guys. Thank you for that. And please check them out. Also, Ramona. Special hello and thank you to Ramona. Great friend. And please check out her Twitter page, Sports Gal Pal, where you can find all the links to her all of her podcasts. I'm starting to ramble a bit here. Sorry. I won't put up all the web pages because you can find them all from those actual Twitter sites. So get onto those people's Twitter sites and please follow them. Please listen to their podcasts. Please have a look at Alana's gaming videos. They're really great. So yeah, special shout out and thanks because the three of you. Well, that's not actually the three of you, it's 4, 5, 6 of you actually in total, just want to say, thank you very much. You've been great supporters and great help. So thank you very much. So anyway, movies. Well, I've got a few lined up here to talk about. So I suppose, I should stop rambling and all the rest of it. And let's talk some cult movies. Well, just before I actually start talking about our first little cult classic, I should actually mention that during the week after the first podcast, I actually had a few requests from people about different movies to bring up. So I have taken them actually on board, and some of them, I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about. Just no. But there are a number there that, yes, absolutely I will. And I will definitely be saving those up for podcasts to come. So you know who you are if you asked. So, yeah, don't worry. I will be talking about those particular movies. One of them, I suppose, I should bring up and touched on briefly last week, and that is, of course, Sharknado. Now, Sharknado 4, yes, the fourth instalment, is going to be released on July 31st. So that's only about, 6 weeks away or something like that. So basically, in regards to Sharknado, I don't even really want to mention it until number 4 is released. And then basically I thought I'd just dedicate half of a podcast to just talking about all the different Sharknadoes and just having some real fun with that. I might even see if there's somebody I know I might even be able to convince on to coming onto that podcast, and we can just have a bit of a crazy sort of Sharknado night. But anyway, that'll be, for obviously a podcast in maybe about 6 weeks' time. But movie number one. Now, this was one that I only actually watched very, very recently, because it's actually a brand new film. It's called Circle from 2015. Now, I only actually watched this I think it was only just a couple of weeks ago. And this is a movie that really pleasantly surprised me, and this is not an out there, stupid, silly, B-grade monster sort of movie. This is actually quite a serious film with a bit of a statement to make and a bit of a study of society, if you like. But we'll get to all of that in a minute. Now, it's directed by, Aaron Hahn and Mario I think it's Missone, who also wrote the movie. And it's a very interesting tale. So basically, it starts off with a group of 50 people who suddenly find themselves in this room. And I have to admit, with this movie, it would actually translate to a stage show or a play very, very easily, because the whole thing is just shot on one set in one room. Now, these 50 people basically awake from, being passed out or whatever, and they're all standing in a circle surrounding this sort of, weird device in the middle of the circle, and they're all standing on their little spots, their little marks around the circle. And something very weird starts to happen. Well, first of all, why are they there? What's going on? Have they been abducted? Have they been abducted by aliens? Or is this some sort of weird government experiment? Like, what is going on? Why are they there? Are they connected to each other? Are they related? Just what the hell is going on? And then suddenly people start to get zapped by this death ray, if you like, lightning bolt, which comes out of this device in the middle of the circle that they're all standing around. And around about every 2 minutes, somebody gets zapped. And when I say zapped, they're killed. Okay, that's it. Their life is over. They're dead. And this, every 2 minutes, this thing basically kills somebody. And they're trying to work out what on earth is, obviously going on. Well, pretty soon they start to basically work out that whoever has put them in there, what is actually happening is they're voting with their hand movements to pick somebody to die every 2 minutes, and the person that gets the highest number of votes is being liquidated, is being killed. So, of course, now it becomes a question of survival, because they've sort of worked out that this is almost like a bit of a game show, if you like. Although it's not a game show, but, they have to vote. One person goes. It's a bit like Survivor or Big Brother or something like that. And until obviously there is only one person left, and that is the survivor. And they're basically thinking, or the survivor of the circle, if you like, and that is the person who will be allowed to go free. So now every 2 minutes they have to vote for someone. So who do they vote for? The concept of self-preservation now, of course, comes along. But the thing is that they're also trying to work out how they can possibly escape. They start to then talk about various different tactics in regards to maybe being able to survive this game. And we have quite a cross-section of American society in this, but we have a police officer, a soldier, we have doctors, lawyers, business people, the unemployed, people on pensions, illegal immigrants, we have black people, white people, Asian. It is a total cross-section of society. And because of that, of course, their arguments with each other start to develop upon who should be allowed to live and who should die first. So they play with all sorts of ideas like, oldest down to youngest, who has contributed to the most to society. Do they vote based on race? Do they vote on... Well, you can just think of all the different things that come up. Religion, of course, is a topic that comes up. Do they believe in God? Do they believe in, in an afterlife? So it's absolutely fascinating watching the interaction through this, and every 2 minutes in this film, somebody is zapped and bang, they're gone from the cast. And that's the reason why I haven't actually read out the cast, because it's like, it starts with basically 50 people and then slowly starts to work its way down. Now, within this group of 50 people, there is a 10-year-old child and a pregnant woman. And they are absolutely crucial to the story, because part of the 50, basically, once they realise what's going on, that this is basically a battle until or a voting battle, if you like, until there's only one person left alive, who should be left alive? And a group of them, basically, let's call them the self-sacrificers, basically decide that it should come down to either the child or the pregnant woman, because the child being the youngest and the pregnant woman, obviously about to bring a child into the world, they are the obvious survivors. They're the ones that have to, and they will self-sacrifice themselves to keep those two alive. Now, we then, of course, get a second group. Let's call them the survivalists, who will do anything, lie, cheat, say anything, manipulate, in order for them to personally stay alive. And they basically start to group together in this circle so we basically now get a form of voting blocks even start to emerge. And the survivalists desperately want to kill the child and the pregnant woman to take them out of the equation, to actually break up these power blocks, giving them a greater chance of surviving to the end. But the problem, of course, that our other group, the self-sacrificers, have, is they can't sacrifice themselves too early, because if they do, there's nobody to vote to protect the child and the pregnant woman. So it's absolutely fascinating as we watch this film go on and on and on, basically over its 90-minute, it's actually about 100 minutes, to actually see how it all works. Now, one of the things in this is that in this film is you can't vote for yourself. You have to vote for somebody else. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, because obviously I want you to watch the film. But of course it begs or brings up the question, what happens with the last two? If you can't vote for yourself and they vote for each other, it's a tie. How does it work? Well, I won't give away the ending, but we spoke about the concept before about self-sacrifice. Someone is prepared to kill themselves in order to save somebody. But the thing is, you might think, oh, well, that's obvious. You get down to the last two and one will self-sacrifice and the other will win. No, okay? I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's not that simple. We have a big twist that comes at the end of this movie, obviously, but I won't give it away. So look, this is a really good one. It's a thinking person's movie, okay? If you enjoy that concept of how society interacts, and I think especially with everything that's going on in the world today, with especially, political arguments that we see coming out of the United States with, the whole image of people like Donald Trump and that sort of stuff, in regards to who are good people and who are bad people and all the rest of it. This is a really fascinating film. It is definitely a film of its time, which is right now. So definitely, this is going to be a cult classic in my opinion, even though, of course, it's just a direct-to-video movie. It's on Netflix. It's on Australian Netflix, which means it'll be on Netflix in Botswana. It'll be everywhere. So please check this one out. Circle. Sorry to start with a serious one, but it's a great film.
careening off the track.
This is going to be a long edit.
Oh, God. No, that's staying in there.
Okay.
The Only Funny to Us podcast with brand new episodes every Monday night at 8 at onlyfunnytous.com.
Now, leading on from Circle, I've actually got another serious, I suppose, in this case, horror movie that I thought I would talk about. And I do apologise, I've totally forgotten what year this was made, but I'm sure you can hop on Google and, and look it up. And that is VHS. Now, VHS as in VHS video cassette. Some of us are old enough to remember what they were. And this is another found footage movie. Blair Witch, Project style. Now, of course, we've had so many, found footage movies over the years since Blair Witch. Some of them have been really good. Some of them have been absolutely appalling. Blair Witch itself, obviously, it still stands up as quite a spooky film. But then, of course, we've had, other absolute stinkers, like Cloverfield, for argument's sake. I mean, Cloverfield is just, in my mind, it might be quite spectacular for a lost footage movie, but it's absolutely ridiculous because the whole idea of a lost footage, I should say, found footage movie or, point of view, POV movie, is that it's exactly that. It's found footage. And if we all know that we know New York City wasn't destroyed, in a battle with a giant monster. So it doesn't really work in my mind. But that is probably just me being, me just being silly. But I just don't think it sort of really works. But we've also had, of course, a lot of very high production styles of found footage movies. All the paranormal activity movies, for instance, which I absolutely love. I love all of them, actually. I think they're all been really, really good. But obviously they've got much higher, I suppose, production, value and so forth. And then we lead on to, of course, one of the latest offerings, which I wasn't a fan of it at first, but I watched it a second time and then I really did like it. And that is, of course, Unfriended, which, of course, being a cinema-release film, I don't really classify it, here as, I suppose, B cult sort of material. But maybe it's one I should maybe talk about it at some stage. I've got a lot of problems with the movie, but I still actually really quite like it. And I won't go into all of that right now because we're not talking about Unfriended. We're talking about VHS. Now, VHS is, it's got so many actors in it, and it was actually directed by 10 different directors, and I'll explain why in a minute. So I'm not going to list them all, okay? I just can't be bothered, to be true. I'm too lazy. But there's a reason why there are 10 directors, and that is because this is basically a film, if you like, for an hour and a half, but within the film, we have a whole heap of filmettes or moviettes, if you like, which are inside the film, each of which have absolutely no connection with each other, but do have a connection with the main movie, and I shall explain. Now, the film basically starts off with this group of thugs, basically, in the United States, who like to film their crimes on camera. Them beating up old men and women, for their shopping money, them breaking into houses, vandalising cars, all the rest of it, and they love to film all this sort of stuff so they can post it online. Now, these guys, because they exist in real life, these sorts of people, how do they ever get girlfriends? Someone just explain that to me. I don't know, but they always do somehow or other. But anyway, I digress. Now, so these thugs basically I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. Because as I told you last week, I'm still getting over this flu thing. It's been hanging around it just won't seem to go away. But anyway, you don't need to hear about my medical problems. So these guys get hired to break into a house and steal an old VHS video cassette, which they think is very easy money. And of course, in normal style, they of course decide that they're going to film themselves doing the break-in and all the rest of it. But when they arrive in the house, they find that they enter one of the rooms, and inside this room is just a big a chair, an armchair if you like, surrounded by television screens and a whole heap of video cassette players. And in the armchair is a rather old man who is dead. Now, so this is all a bit weird. And the other thing too is that the house is full of these VHS video cassettes. So which one are they meant to steal? They've got absolutely no idea. So they start obviously collecting up all the various different video cassettes. They'll just decide, right, we'll just take them all. We'll take them all, and this guy can tell us which one he wants, when we hand it over and get paid. But, of course, while this is going on, some spooky stuff starts to happen in the house. We start to almost see shadows move. It's like, was that a person who just walked past the door, or wasn't that a person that just walked past the door? Is there someone else in the house with us? Oh, this is starting to get a bit spooky now. And they then decide that there are so many videotapes here. Let's have, what's on them? What's so important about this video cassette? So they start to watch the video cassettes. And this is, of course, where all these little moviettes come in, because, of course, we get to see each little movie, each one's about 10 minutes, that, they're found. And each one is some sort of weird lost footage movie. One is about demonic possession. One is about this weird sort of interdimensional monster. Another one is about a sort of stalker murderer. So we've got all these different movies in there to see as well. So we've basically got these lost or found footage movies within a found footage movie. And then, of course, in the end, in our main story, we have a big twist at the end as well, to try to get it a little bit more spooky and a little bit more out there as well. It's actually not bad. I mean, of course, it's a great way to put all these short stories together and play them into one movie. So, I think we get about 8 little movies, all for the price of one, all linked together with these guys doing the burglary. So, yeah, definitely. I think, check it out. I mean, I watched it on iTunes. I think it only cost me, about $3 to rent or something like that. So, have a look at it. VHS. It is a bit spooky. It is a bit scary. As I said, it's basically found footage horror stuff. But definitely worth, having a look at. VHS. Yeah. It's out there, but it's all right. Now, the next movie I wanted to talk about is a movie that, as far as B-grade monster movies go, this actually has to be one of my Desert Island discs. And I think the reason for that is that this little B-grade classic ticks almost every cliche box there is for, B-grade monster movies. It just ticks absolutely every box. Now, the movie is Raptor from 2001. And, of course, with the name Raptor, you've got a bit of an idea what the movie is going to be about. I don't think I'm giving much away. Now, it is directed by Jim Wynorski and John Blush. And it's just, for me, this movie is just absolutely wonderful. And I'll also, when you hear some of the stars of it too, that makes it even better. Now, it stars Eric Roberts. Now, Eric Roberts, I love Eric Roberts. He has made so many, B-grade movies. There's just too many, to mention them all. Bit like Jay Andrews, if there's a B-grade movie somewhere, either Eric Roberts or Jay Andrews is going to be in it. So it's absolutely wonderful to see him in this. Now, Corbin Bernsen. Now, I think if you're a child of the 80s, you will remember him. Of course, one of the stars of LA Law. And he was a big deal on US television during the 80s. But anyway, that was the 80s. Now, it also stars Melissa Brissell, absolutely gorgeous, and she, of course, is in tons and tons and tons of B-grade monster flicks, and she's fantastic in this. And, of course, it also stars Larissa McCormick, and must I say, basically rest in peace. She, of course, passed away in 2009 and is no longer with us, unfortunately, because, she was absolutely great. If you've ever seen the comedy, The Bear Wench Project, yes, I'm not kidding, The Bear Wench Project, she is absolutely hilarious in that. She is very, very funny. Will be sadly missed. But anyway, I suppose just to talk about some of the cliches in this. Well, it's set in a small American country town. We have a small town country sheriff. We have a wildlife officer. We have a mad nutty professor. We have dinosaurs, our monsters. We have creatures which are so bad in their special effects. They are just shocking. And, of course, we have a disused power station. So it pretty much, as I said, it just ticks everything you've got to have in a B-grade monster movie. Now, Eric Roberts basically plays the sheriff. Corbin Bernsen plays the nutty professor, if you like, the baddie. And Melissa Brissell plays the wildlife officer. And Larissa McCormick plays the Eric Roberts, the sheriff's daughter. Now, the story behind this is basically that in this small country town, people start basically being chewed up, eaten, and, there's about 500 litres of blood spread everywhere. And I'll tell you what, if you like blood and intestines, then you'll like this movie Raptor, because there's a lot of them. Trust me, there's a lot of them. But anyway, they get together to team up to investigate all these killings that they think are probably some sort of, mountain lion or cougar or, some other North American animal. But of course, we, the audience, know better. They are, of course, dinosaurs. But the question is, where are these dinosaurs coming from? Well, we find out pretty quick in the first few minutes that, of course, it's our nutty professor who is, of course, creating them in his laboratory in some secret government conspiracy. Oh, there we go. See, there's another cliche. There's another tick in the box for a B-grade classic, government conspiracy. And who's creating them in the skies of basically a chicken farm. But of course, they're not raising chickens and selling eggs. They're actually creating and raising dinosaurs for, American army experiments or, whatever they need them for. So, but of course, these things are escaping and killing all the townspeople and everything. So, of course, our sheriff and his wildlife officer have to go out to investigate and to try to stop it. And then, of course, try to stop the nutty professor, and all the rest of it. And, of course, we all know what's going to happen. It's all going to end up in some final big showdown, basically dinosaur versus people in some great big battle. And I don't think it's saying too much. I don't think you're really going to care if I give this one away a little bit. The ending of this movie, I'll just say, if you've seen Aliens, Alien 2, then you know how this movie ends. Okay, because they just copied it totally. They just totally copied the ending. But, hey, that's B-grade. The other thing, too, is that our wildlife officer dresses more, when she's out in the countryside trying to investigate animal murders, more like she's actually just going out to an LA nightclub. I really didn't think that American wildlife officers dressed in see-through tight T-shirts with body-hugging jeans and high heels when they went out into the countryside, to investigate these sorts of things. But according to this movie, that's exactly how they do dress. Look, this is just absolutely so much fun. Lots of blood, lots of gore. And the dinosaurs in this seriously look like they've just come out of a cereal packet. You can see the joins on these plastic animals quite literally as the arms and legs move. It is that bad. It makes an early 1960s version of Godzilla look highly technical. But that's why it is absolutely so much fun. So please try to hunt this one down if you can. It's not always the easiest movie to find, to be honest, but if you can find it, really give it a try. The thing to remember, though, of course, is you are looking for the 2001 version of Raptor. Because if you do a search on the title Raptor, you will find that there are actually quite a number of films with the same title. So it is the 2001 version that I am recommending. So, you've got to check this one out.
I worked in the garden center, and a lady came in, and we had the flowers and the plants, and she asked me how much the chlamydias were.
The Only Funny to Us podcast, available now at onlyfunnytous.com.
Well, I think it's time to really bring up some absolute lunacy. Some just so ridiculous films, so out there, so stupid, but geez, they're fun to watch. So I thought, like last week, I mentioned a couple of movies, monster movies, with Brooke Hogan, sort of using her as the link between the two movies. So I thought this week, who will be the scream queen of this week's podcast? Well, it's pretty hard if you're talking about scream queens to not mention Erin Brown. Erin Brown, better known, I suppose, in her earlier days, of course, as Misty Monday. They are the same person. She, of course, had to change her name for legal reasons, which is a bit long story in regards to copyright and all sorts of things, which I won't bore you with. But yes, Erin Brown, we have to talk about her movies. Now, she has made so many, basically B-grade cheap horror movies, and also, I suppose, adult thrillers, and also just, ridiculous comedies. And we're going to talk really, I suppose, about two of the comedies, I suppose, if you like. Well, comedies is a very loose word when it comes to these sorts of movies, but we'll just use it for now. Now, the two I want to talk about is probably one film that she's best known for, and that is that if you speak to anyone about Erin Brown, probably the first who knows who she is, yeah, okay, that's silly, isn't it? Okay, but if you do speak to somebody who knows who she is, probably the first movie they're going to mention is Spiderbabe. So I want to talk about that. Now, there's so many others to choose from. I mean, literally, there are so many others. But I thought the other one, because it is just so ridiculous that I had to bring up, and that is Playmate of the Apes. Yes, you heard me right. I did not get the word wrong. Playmate of the Apes. So I suppose let's talk about that one first. Now, obviously, as the name is a bit of a giveaway, it's basically a spoof of Planet of the Apes. So if you've ever seen the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, then you will know exactly what happens in this film. It's basically just a cheap, corny version of it, except that it's an all-female cast, basically. The only men in this movie are apes, so or play apes. Well, some would say they are. Well, anyway. So that is really the only difference. So I'm not even going to bother to tell you what actually happens in this film, because you basically know what happens in the film. But it's very it's lots and lots of fun. And as long as you don't mind a cheesy sort of send-up, if you like, of a very classic film, where basically all the cast are running around basically naked half the time, which is what they do, or go-go dancing inside cages while the apes dance and play music on their bongo drums. I'm not kidding, that scene is actually in this movie. Then you will absolutely love this. Now, it's from 2002, and it was directed by John Backus. So, as I said before, lots of people running around nude every 5 minutes. That's pretty much what you get in a John Backus film. Now, of course, Erin Brown is our main star. She basically plays the Charlton Heston role. But it also stars the people that we're sort of kind of used to in a John Backus film. Was it Darren Kane, Anushka, Shelby Taylor? I mean, these people basically are in all of his films. Well, of course, there's a lot more, but they're sort of like, they're friends as well as co-workers. So, they're always the same people being hired. But this one is really fun. And even if you only watch this film, as I said, simply to watch the Ape nightclub with our 3 astronauts inside cages go-go dancing while the apes play their bongos and dance along to them, it's worth it just for that scene. It's absolutely hilarious. But, as with all, all John Backus films, of course, it's cheap. It's cheap as shit. The apes in this are basically just people in normal clothes wearing an ape mask that they bought from Kmart. All right? Special effects are not high on the budget here. But that's not what this film is about. This film is just about forgetting your troubles for an hour and 20 minutes and just watching some attractive people run around naked and laughing your guts out. And that's what it's all about. And so you can't do much better than that. But then Spiderbabe, as we mentioned before, another one of her, probably her more famous movies, if you like. Now, this is, of course, from 2003. Of course, stars Erin Brown, once again, who we were talking about. Oh, actually, before I go any further, I should just tell you there was a story from Playmate of the Apes, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And that is that when Erin Brown actually turned up on set for the very first day of shooting, she still had no idea what role she was playing in the movie. That probably gives you a little bit of an idea of the production value. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that story. Now, Spiderbabe from 2003. So Erin Brown now also stars a host of regulars from these sorts of movies that you will either have heard of, or if you start to watch these films, you'll say, I know that person. Julian Wells, Darren Kane, Susie Lorraine. They're all basically, they always pop up in these films. Now, directed by Johnny Cash, and no, not that Johnny Cash, a different Johnny Cash. And it's a lot of fun. It's a typical one of those sorts of naughtier, more adult comedies, which Erin Brown does, a lot of, either horror movies or this sort of movie. Now, the story behind this is basically about a young woman who is bitten by a spider and then wakes up the next morning to find that she has certain superpowers. Geez, does this sound familiar? Yeah, of course it does. Well, probably the title Spiderbabe is a little bit of a giveaway. But that's about as close as it really goes with the whole concept of Spider-Man. It is its own film. We've, of course, got a baddie in this, because, of course, every superhero has got to have a super baddie to fight. And, of course, so Erin Brown, of course, being Superbabe, takes on, of course, our evil scientist, Julian Wells, in this, and they battle it out throughout the entire film. It is a lot of fun. It's cheap and cheesy, but there are lots of laughs. And, if you like, as I said, these sorts of comedies, these, if you want to call them adult comedies or erotic comedies, whatever you want to call them, which are made on shoestring budgets, where basically if you get hired to be in the film, you're going to have to take your clothes off. In fact, I should probably do a boob alert, a boob and bum alert. You know, whenever I mention one of these films, I can sort of go, you know, bam, 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 boob alert, boob alert, boob alert. Oh, I don't know, that's stupid, isn't it? But anyway, if you like that sort of fun stuff, you know, check out Spiderbabe, check out Playmate of the Apes. But I will, in fact, talk about, I suppose, a proper horror film of Aaron Brown on another podcast, because I can only talk about so much, you know, in an hour. So, but if you want a bit of these sorts of erotic, comedy, fun, cheap, cheesy, and they're cheesy. Trust me, these are so cheesy, they smell of parmesan. So, you know, if you like that, give them a try. Now it's time to go back in time, to travel, to hop in our TARDIS and move back down the timeline to a time people barely remember. And I'm not talking about Doctor Who now, I'm talking about the 1960s. And I'm talking about a wonderful movie from Italy called Wild Wild Planet, made in 1966. Now, this movie is... I suppose I just want to give you a bit of an insight into this movie before I start talking about any details or who's in it or who made it and all the rest of it. Now, in the 1960s, of course, I think everyone is familiar with the spaghetti movies, which obviously came out of Italy. I mean, I think, you know, everyone knows, you know, can remember Clint Eastwood in so many, you know, a number of Italian spaghetti westerns. But there was also a big movement of spaghetti sci-fi, if you want to use that term, which came out of Italy. And a director called Anthony Dawson made 4 films throughout the 60s, which would become known as the Gamma 1 series of movies. Now, there were 4 of them. And basically, the very first one was Assignment Outer Space. The second one was Battle of the Worlds. Then came Wild Wild Planet, which is what we're going to talk about today, and then finally War of the Planets. Now, they all basically follow our main character, who is in every single movie, which is a character called Commander. That's his rank, Mike Halstead, and they're set basically on Earth in the future. Basically, when we've colonised space and we've colonised planets and we fly around in hover cars and, you know, all this sort of stuff. A 1960s sort of view of what the future, you know, would probably be like. Now, there was a 5th film in this series. Some people say was made and some people say wasn't, because it was made in Japan and not in Italy, and it was called The Green Slime. But it's not. It doesn't actually have Mike Halstead in it, and it's it directly links to the Gamma 1 series of films, but it's sort of not. So I don't know. You can sort of choose yourself. Most people basically say there's only 4 in the series, the 4 ones that were filmed in Italy. Now, to give you, I suppose, let's talk about this film, okay? Because I'm going to start rambling. Now, basically, it stars Tony Russell as Commander Mike Halstead. Now, as I said, he is, of course, in all 4 of the movies, but it also stars. I'm trying to remember now. I'm going to have to grab my notes. Hang on. Oh God, here we go. My writing, I can't read my own writing. Massimo Serrato, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Lisa Gastoni. Now, the Lisa Gastoni basically plays the girlfriend of Mike Halstead, and the whole concept of these movies is, as I said, it starts in set in the future, and Commander Mike Halstead is commander of Gamera 1, which is a space station which obviously circles the Earth. And there's a whole heap of, different space stations and whatnot. And each movie we basically get an adventure where he, has to solve what's going on. He has to battle the aliens or whatever. Now, in this one, it's a little bit different. There's no aliens involved in this one. He actually has to fight people. And I'll get into the story in just a sec. So it's a little bit different, to all the other ones. Now, the other thing too about all four of these, actually the last two of these movies, is they starred a young Franco Nero. So, if you watch them, watch out for him, because he's actually, got a reasonable role in both Wild Wild Planet and also War of the Planets. But anyway, so I just said Wild Wild Planet. Oh, I don't know. God, I'm rambling. See, I've still got this flu thing. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have been doing a podcast tonight. But anyway, I'm just going to battle through. So if I'm rambling a bit all over the place, I really do apologise. I'll try to be a lot better on podcast 3. Probably been talking about this movie for about 10 minutes already, and I haven't even told you what the hell it's about. So let's do that now. So, Mike Halstead, commander of Gamera 1 Station. Now, he finds out that basically people are disappearing all over the world. And so, of course, this is a problem that he is called in with his team from Gamera 1 Space Station to try to solve. Now, these people basically start going missing. And they then find out that everyone is being shrunk, literally down to the size of a Barbie doll, by this mad, weird professor who's trying to create a brand new species of humans. And, of course, Mike and his team have to fight them and try to stop them. I won't really say any more about this, except that this is a real cheesy 1960s style movie. It's where the rocket ships are flying vertically, but the smoke is going up and down horizontally from its engines. You can actually see the wires, on the spaceships and so forth as they fly by. But it's really fun. And as a lot of the set design and the models, if you like that sort of classic Thunderbirds, Jerry Anderson sort of, style of model making, then you will like this, no matter how bad and cheesy the special effects are. I absolutely just adore these 4 films, but Wild Wild Planet is actually one of my favourites of all of them. So, yeah, definitely, if you can't check this one out, at least check one of the other Gamera series movies out. They're so much fun. Now, I thought our last movie of the night, we should try to go back to, another monster movie, because, let's face it, they're so much fun. And I will try to stay on target with this one and try to stay on point. Talking about that last movie, I was just so all over the place. Oh, God. So I do apologise for that. Now, I want to talk here about Poseidon Rex. Yes, from 2013. And you heard me right, Poseidon Rex. Directed by Mark Lester and starring Anne McDaniels. This film is actually really, really good. It's from the Asylum, as they're called, the Asylum stable of movies. So you sort of know what you're going to get here. Half-assed special effects, if you like. A bit of a story, a few girls in bikinis, so sort of quite a lot of fun. Now, it was all shot in Belize, and or just off the coast of Belize, and it's actually set in Belize as well. Well, that makes life easy, I suppose. Now, it starts off basically with treasure hunters who, by blowing things up, trying to find sunken Incan Spanish, no, not Incan, I think it was Incan treasure on Spanish galleons, that's right. They open up this huge rift in the earth, and of course, out of it comes this prehistoric dinosaur. And the amazing thing about this dinosaur too, a little bit like two-headed shark attack that we spoke about last week, is that this dinosaur does tend to change size quite a lot depending on what scene you're actually looking at. In one scene, it sort of looks like, I don't know, the size you would expect a Tyrannosaurus to sort of be, but in another scene, it's about the same height as the Eiffel Tower. So it does tend to vary, quite a bit from scene to scene. Now, Anne McDaniels plays our marine biologist who's there, who teams up with our treasure hunter and a few holiday makers, and they get together to basically do this combination deal of finding the gold and trying to stop the dinosaur at the same time. And of course all the little baby dinosaurs that they've now discovered because they find all these eggs, and so of course all hell is going to break loose. We all pretty much know how these films are going to run. They're basically lots of people are going to get eaten and killed one by one as we go through, until the final showdown with the dinosaur and our star. So there's no surprises, you know what's going to happen, but it's lots of fun along the way, and I have to admit, Anne McDaniels in a bikini does look rather nice, so thumbs up on that one. The other thing too is, I suppose it's like the changing size of the dinosaur all the time. This is another classic, I suppose, B-grade movie where the guns and everything that they fire seem to have basically limitless amounts of ammunition in the magazines. They just fire and fire and fire and fire and never run out of bullets. But, hey, it's movies. It's meant to be like that. So, Poseidon Rex, it really is a good one. I really enjoyed this one, actually. So, mind you, I like pretty much everything that comes out of the asylum. I think they do some really good stuff. So, definitely check this one out. Poseidon Rex, I really like it. Well, that's basically it. That's pretty much coming up on an hour. So thank you for listening to podcast number 2 of the Zaius Report. I really rambled and waffled a lot on this podcast, and I really do apologise for that. As I said, I've sort of been getting over this flu virus bug thing for the last couple of weeks, and I just can't seem to shake it. And so, I don't know, I probably shouldn't be doing the podcast at the moment anyway, but I've started and I want to keep doing them, and I want to keep doing one a week. So I'm just going to, battle through it. But I do apologise for the, waffling and not getting to the point and all the rest of it. Mind you, but my friends will know I talk like that all the time anyway, so it's sort of just who I am. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. As I said, please go and check out Sports Gal Pal. Please go and check out Only Funny to Us. And I will leave you, as always, with the wonderful, the lovely, the charming Alana Evans. And perfect.